Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Leadership Development channel. Today, I have the pleasure of a friend of mine joining us here, Tony Caldwell. I'm super excited to introduce him to you and to talk about a topic that a lot of people, yes, quite frankly, struggle with, which is making big decisions that matter, that have a big impact. And so Tony and I are going to have a conversation about decision making. I'm super curious to see what he has to say about this. And for now, I'm going to bounce it over to Tony. Tony, do you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
No, Fran, thanks. And look, I really appreciate the chance getting to talk to you today. I always enjoy our in-person conversations, and I feel like we don't run into each other enough when we're out in Charlotte. My name's Tony Caldwell. I run a company. It's best described as a really boutique consulting and leadership coaching firm called the 2326 Group. What kind of my specialty is, look, there's a lot of people out there that are really good at leadership coaching, really good at team building, all those fun things. And I call them fun because I like to do them as well. But my real focus, as you said, is on a decision-making framework and understanding how to make decisions beyond just I need to do this today to solve today's problem, and really start to think about decisions in depth and how they matter to your business, even if you're not the owner. How do I make a decision that sets this business up for success 15, 20 years from now? And some of that translates into family life as well. How do I make decisions, especially around kids, that sets my family up to be kind of what our family vision, mission, values are. The same applies to business. Again, there's lots of coaches out here that, Fernanda, that kind of work in this space and do this kind of thing. One of the differentiators for me, and kind of what sets me apart from other people that do this, and this is not a knock on anybody. I have a lot of great coaches in my Rolodex that are phenomenal people and bring really good results. But I spent 27 years in the United States Army. I started as a private and I finished as a lieutenant colonel, which is a really weird journey. Like only about 6 or 7% of Army officers were ever enlisted as privates before they became officers. So number one, that gives me a really good perspective of not only the decision process, but the outcomes of the decision, how they affect people, because those big decisions affected me.
Yep.
And when I was on the, kind of the front line of a business, right? The employees that are not managers, your entry level people. The other part that's a differentiator is I got to spend about a decade in and around the Pentagon. As a major, my direct boss was a 2-star general.
Wow.
So I really got exposed during that decade to how to think strategically and how to make decisions in a way that that may feel like not that big a decision, but you realize they're affecting thousands, if not tens of thousands of people based on what you thought was best and went to your boss, because a major and lieutenant colonel in the Pentagon are really just middle managers in a corporation, right? So I would go into my boss and go, hey, sir, hey, ma'am, this is what I think. And they're so busy, they just take my word for it.
Yeah.
Like a typical middle manager.
Sorry to interrupt, but that's a lot of trust.
Yeah, the trust ladder is pretty steep and pretty hard to climb in that environment. But it's now look, I'm not saying they took every decision at my word. Like they disputed a lot, they pushed back on a lot, they challenged me to go get better at it. But that's really kind of my thing about how to make decisions, is that framework of this decision is going to change people's lives 5 years from now when I've gone on to do something else,
Right.
you know? So, yeah. And that's kind of me. And I apologize. That's a really big introduction. And I feel like I talk forever. I apologize.
No worries, Tony. It wasn't that long and it was very engaging and interesting. And I am curious. So I think I remember you saying that you did a lot of that decision support or decision recommendation in the Pentagon. Um, what and it got to a point where it was almost like, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it sounded to me like it was almost like a muscle that you had a lot of experience exercising. Um,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yes. And it takes a long time to develop that muscle.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I had a boss, and we talked about this, you and I have talked about this before. One decision has a minimum of three outcomes: positive, neutral, or negative. And there may be four possible positive, three possible negative. I get it, but just keeping it simple. Like, I went to public school in Arkansas, so let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Well, you make a decision, you got three outcomes. You have to be prepared for each of those three outcomes. So now we're at nine different, because each of those outcomes could have three more outcomes. So now we're at like nine things that can happen at a minimum of one decision. And when you take that out for what I call fourth and fifth order thinking, and I call it that because one of my bosses did, and it stuck. You get to one decision could possibly have 243 outcomes.
Wow.
So you really start to think about, how do I make this decision? Who needs to know about it? Who needs to be involved? How do we do that together?
Mm.
And so many people think, because they see TVs, they see the TV, they see movies of people in uniform just barking, right? Just barking and yelling. And that's about the furthest yes, life or death situation, sure. But beyond that, it's so collaborative inside that building.
Really?
I, yeah, you can go up to anybody's cube or office and go, hey, I've got this going on. I'm working on this thing. Fernando, I heard you're working on this. And you would either say, yes, I am. No, I'm not. Let me walk you down the hall to the person that is. And very super collaborative, very bureaucratic, but very super collaborative. So yes, it's very much a muscle that you teach yourself how to use. And over time, it really becomes instinctive.
Okay. And so, can you talk like for me and for the viewers who maybe are not as familiar with the framework, can you tell us like how, so say you were trying to advise your boss on a very important decision, what kind of thought process did you usually use to make a good decision?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. The thought process is, you have to look at options for the decision, right? And then you would look at it's almost like computer language. When I learned computer programming, in college, like we all did, right? Programming 101, we had these things called if this, then that statements.
Right.
So it's taking that if this, then that,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of just having a single output,
Mm.
if I click order now, Amazon will say, which credit card? So it's really, if this, then that. And when that happens, what are the next set of that's? And from
Mm.
there, what are the next set of that's? And how far can I walk that? And how much of that can I anticipate to be able to say, and look, we had a lot of different forms, a lot of different tools we used, but to look at Fernanda and go, if I do this, then this, here are three things that might happen: positive, negative, neutral, right? Of those things, what would I need to do next?
Okay.
And when I do, and then what do I do next? How does that affect the systems that run the organization?
Mm.
If I'm in a company, if I'm buying new bill paying software, then the thing I have to do next is teach my accounting team, my finance team, how to use that software.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is that going to affect my systems? Because I now have my ops team, my HR team that need to be able to work with the finance system, whether it's travel reimbursements, travel plans, payroll, bill pay, all those things. How does that affect those systems? What are they going to do different?
Mm.
And then you can take that out to the next layer of how does this affect the culture of our company?
Mm.
Because our culture has been one way, and if I make this decision about a new software package, does that change our systems? And changing our systems, that change who we are? Does it change how we operate? Does it change how our partners see us?
Mm.
And then finally, out at the fifth level, it's if I change this software package today, does that move me closer to my 10-year vision? Does it move me closer to the 20-year heritage of my organization? So it's really learning how to think about, number one, what is our 20-year vision and heritage? What do we want to be when we grow up? And what are we doing today? And how does that impact 20 years? And look, maybe buying a new printer for the boss's desk doesn't change the heritage,
Right.
but it might change out to the third level where our systems start to be impacted because that printer doesn't go on our network.
Mm.
It doesn't play well with the network,
Mm.
or it changes the type of paper, the number, or the type of ink we have to buy. And now we've got to change our supply chain.
Mm.
And does that mean we have to go to a new vendor? And does that mean every time I replace a printer, am I having to buy that printer instead of the one I'm used to? You see how all that starts to snowball?
Yes.
This becomes really frustrating when you play it out over something like a printer. But when you play it out in terms of do we need to create a chief revenue officer?
Mm.
It becomes really important. Do we need to move? Do I need a full HR team?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's really what I help people think about.
Right. Or I can I through my corporate career, I can think of a lot of situations where thinking through a big decision might have changed the decision. Thinking through in the framework
Yeah,
that
me
you
too.
just described.
Right. I worked at after I retired from the Army, I did some stuff. And then when we moved to Charlotte, I worked at a couple of different banks. So I can certainly appreciate that people made decisions in silos that, as the Army would say, briefed really well,
Mm.
meaning that the slide deck looked good and it sounded good. But those ripples um, going out really disrupted lives
Yeah.
and made things worse. Um, if I can, a good analogy, talk
Mm.
about ripples. You throw a rock into a pond and you see the ripples, right?
Right.
What you don't see is the rock landing in the bottom of the pond.
Mm.
And you're throwing rocks out there and you're watching ripples and they go away. What you're not realizing is those rocks are piling up.
Mm-hmm.
And those rocks may someday damage the bottom of a boat or change the pattern of how fish swim or block the river if you throw enough in, you know, or God forbid you jump off the dock and land on those rocks head first, right? So it's really thinking about not just when I throw the rock in the pond, the ripples, but how many rocks are building up underneath?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Is there, do you also, Tony, do you have any recommendations for leaders of companies when do you recommend that they categorize the level of decisions? Like this is a really high importance decision versus a low risk decision, or do you think?
Yeah, I think a couple of things there. First off, we kind of have to look at, the old Eisenhower quadrant of urgent versus important
Mm-hmm.
and which way we're going with it. The more important it is, like urgent is it's got to be fixed now. If we don't fix the piece of machinery on the production floor, we're not going to get the orders out. That's urgent and important, right? But important decisions we tend to live with them longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what I would offer to anybody in your audience that's making those decisions for their business or has an influence on the people making the decision is to sit and think before the decision is made. Not and get just beyond is it urgent, is it important, but does this decision have the potential to have an impact on other systems?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call third level of thinking. Does this decision impact other systems? Letting Tony go home early on a Friday, if Tony's a frontline employee, probably doesn't impact my systems. But letting everybody on Tony's shift go to 3-day work weeks
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is probably going to impact my system.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody on my shift is going to love that idea because we're now off for 4 days, right?
Yeah.
We're off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, theoretically. So employee morale is going to go up on that team, and productivity for the 3 days we're there is probably going to go up. But what about all the other parts of the organization that need people to do our job on Thursday and Friday
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or Saturday, whatever the work week is, right? And then what are other departments going to look at and go, well, that team works 3 days a week. Why am I in here 5?
Right.
And why can I get nothing done while they're gone? And so my team's morale is high, everybody else's is low.
Mm.
So what I would just suggest to any business owner, before you make a decision, think about does this decision impact all of my systems? Because you've been in corporate America. I think a lot of people listening probably are or have been. And they're going to look at this and they're going to realize that so much of corporate America runs in silos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if the business is siloed, it's going to break.
Yeah.
You've really got to, and this decision making what I talk to my clients about forces them to go across the silos.
Right.
And understand the impacts of Tony's decision on John, Jim, Sally, Joan, everybody else. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from that is for an important decision, who all does it impact? How far out could this linger? And let's get all those people together before we do.
Right. I love the idea, and I completely agree of getting the other people from the other departments together to figure out what the impact of the decision is on everybody else. I have seen the opposite, unfortunately, but depending on the decision, it might not be a big deal. Or in what you were bringing up earlier is like, how long do you have to live with it, right? The decision that I can think of the most recently, I've seen a couple that I can think of, but the one I was gonna bring up is like installing a major new software for the delivery of the service. Like not necessarily like a bookkeeping software, but like in my case, a supply chain software that delivers the outcomes and the revenue for the company. Like making a big decision like that would require, in my opinion, buy-in from all the impacted groups in the company, including IT, for example, right?
Well, I think IT is obvious, but what about sales?
Yeah, sales. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
if sales is your revenue generator
Mm-hmm.
and you do something on the back end
Mm-hmm.
that impedes their ability to sell input orders, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's operational risk. There's also reputational risk
Mm-hmm.
because if your sales team can't work with your operations team and your logistics team
Mm-hmm.
to deliver your widgets or whatever you're selling, whether it's a service or a product,
Yep.
that's a reputational risk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's also a great way to lose a client.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So, you know, yeah, I mean, implementing new software, look, that's just a nightmare. Let's just be candid. That's a nightmare.
Yes,
Yeah.
and things are changing so quickly. And I know I'm kind of diverging a little bit, but I just, a lot of companies right now are investing in AI, right? Which is, I totally get it. It's part of the new trend and it's revolutionary in many ways. But I just read an article the other day, which by the way, I don't know how true it is. So don't hold me on this one, but the article said that a lot of the AI software is or the AI related software that companies are using to implement to replace human labor are starting to become more expensive than the labor that they were replacing.
I don't doubt that at all. Um, my personal philosophy is AI is a great tool,
Mm-hmm.
but you need a craftsman to use tools.
Yeah.
Uh, Anybody can go on YouTube and watch a video about how to build a bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go to Home Depot and you can buy the wood and the nails and build a bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build a bookshelf that you can hand down to your kids or grandkids, you need a craftsman.
Yeah.
Um, the other analogy I'll give you on AI at the moment, and this is going to change in the next 18 months, so bear with me. At the moment, AI is a great rearview mirror. It's really great at looking at what has happened. And I won't get into the whole conversation about how AI works, but it's really great at looking at what happened and giving you a great. And then when it tells you what will happen in the future, it's really guessing.
Mm.
Well, think about your car, the ratio between the sizes of a rear view mirror and a windshield.
Mm.
A windshield is much larger because that's how you know where you're going.
Yep.
And I think you can, when we drive, we're supposed to use our rear view mirror to see what's behind to see if there's anything coming up. I think people need to use AI in the same way. Like AI is a great tool. It can tell me a lot of things. It can save me a lot of time.
Yep.
AI cannot yet make my decisions correctly and tell me where I need to go to grow my business or
Mm.
to maintain my business or just like get my business ready to sell,
Yeah.
right? No matter what you're trying to do, AI can give you some great ideas. It can give you some pointers. I wouldn't trust Claude, Chat, Gemini, any of those things to make a real decision for me. Not yet. Give it a couple of years and maybe I'll change my mind. But for
I
today,
agree. That's a really good point. Tony, thank you so much for coming here and giving us your wisdom about decision making. What can if people want to find out more about you, where can they find you? What would you like the folks to know about?
uh, the thing I'd like to point people to is my YouTube channel at the 2326 group. And also my website that, the 2326 group, easy for me to say, .com. Those are the easiest two places to find me. Both have links that you can shoot me an email from, leave, of course, with YouTube, likes, subscribe, save, share, whatever else, you hit the notification button, whatever I'm supposed to say. But I think those two places, especially the YouTube channel, I run a lot of shorts, a minute and a half or so you can grab a lot of nuggets. If any of that's appealing, find me. Let's just pull up and talk. I don't think I've made a sales pitch in the last 2 years. I'm just really a guy to have conversations with. And if it feels like a good fit, we'll find a way to work together.
Nice. Awesome. Is that also your barcode on the video, Tony? Is that for your
Oh,
website?
yeah. I'm sorry. I forget. I've had that up so long, I forget about it. QR code, scan it, it'll take you to my website.
That's right. I always call it barcode, but it's a QR code.
It's okay. You don't have to be completely right. You have to be right enough to do what you need to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you
Awesome.
have to be comfortable making a decision with about 70% of the information.
Yes. And
So,
that's where you come in, right, Tony?
right. I can get you comfortable making a decision on not knowing everything. Absolutely.
Nice. Well, thank you, Tony. It was a pleasure having you. Hopefully, we can collaborate again in the future. And
Absolutely.
yes, and for those of you, if you like this video and if you want to share it with somebody who might benefit from it, and like Tony said, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank
Thanks a lot, everybody.